today I want to share with you something that's very near and dear on my heart, and that's the subject of perimenopause and menopause hormones. Because if you're a woman, you have a cycle, and let me tell you, somewhere along the line you are going to be going into perimenopause and then menopause, and then of course we enter into postmenopause. I always like to ask women particularly, what comes to mind when you hear the word hormones? And it's just so interesting to hear the different responses. But what I always say to women is, your hormones are every organ in your body that secretes a hormone. I want to share with you, about 3 years ago, I had a tremendous hormonal shift happen to me. And you know, it's something that I've been teaching all these years. I've done hundreds and hundreds of hormone presentations. But when it happens to you, and these things become very real, it's a different story. And so as I walked the road the last 3 years, actually 4 years, to try and figure out, you know, what was going on in my body, and we're all different. Us women, each and every one of us is unique, and there's no one way that works for everybody. But what I found is that as I went to see medical professionals, OBGYNs, or gynecologists as they are called in other parts of the world, so many did not have answers. There are many that did not have a solution. And I find, and as I speak to women, that so many women are offered hormone replacement therapy or anxiety medication or antidepressants. That's it. What we need to do in this season of our lives, as we go from perimenopause, where our progesterone levels start tanking and our cycles start becoming irregular and we don't sleep as good as what we usually do, we simply need to adapt. And what does that look like? It looks like it's very different for us all. And I'm excited to share with you all the different strategies that were instrumental in getting me through this season. And I'm happy to say I'm 51 now. You know, I turned 51 this year, and probably 4 years ago is when my hormones started going whoop whoop, and I woke up one morning, and as crazy as it may seem, I didn't know who I was. I lost my confidence overnight, and I was like, what the heck is happening to me? And for the next 3 or 4 days, I was like, am I going crazy? And my husband, Eddie, could see something was not right, but I don't think he wanted to say anything. And then I called my mentor and precious friend, Joan, who has mentored me since 1997 and has been a mentor to me in every aspect of my life, physically, spiritually, mentally, in raising my children. Yeah, and I get emotional because I called her and I was like, I'm in a crisis, something's happening. And she started laughing at me. And I thought, what the heck, Joan? And she said, my darling, she said, welcome to perimenopause. She says, you're in it. Again, you need to hear my heart. There are very different solutions for all of us because we're different. But I am of the opinion that there are certain foundational things that apply to all of us, that once we understand have a very basic understanding, and please, I'm by no means an endocrinologist. It's always important for you to check with your registered healthcare provider or your OBGYN or your endocrinologist if you're having issues before you make any lifestyle changes. But I believe that the information that I'm going to share with you today is not being shared like it should. I want to encourage you. There is hope, and I am feeling fantastic. I am feeling like Lere again, and yeah, I'm going to share some of these strategies with you. If you're enjoying what you see here on Living Lere, go ahead and give this video a like. Hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a new recipe or lifestyle tip. Oh my gosh, we've got so much more coming your way. One of the things I want to start off by sharing with you is don't go it alone. Don't suffer in silence. You know, it's a very personal thing, and I think a lot of us just, you know, we think we're the only one that's suffering. But I want to encourage you, you know, have 2 or 3 of your intimate friends that you can go to and say, listen, you know, along with working with my medical professional or my wellness coach or my dietitian, I'm going through a hard time. And on those days where I feel hopeless, is it okay for me to text you and just say, hey, if I call you, will you just sit with me for a while? Even though you don't say anything, will you just sit with me so that I don't have to be alone? That was a game changer, to have my friends around me that loved me unconditionally, that didn't get tired of my crap, excuse my words, so to say, and my heartache and the emotions and stuff that I was going through, because in that time I was going through something personal, a personal crisis, and it was just incredible that I had the support of my friends. So don't isolate. I want to encourage you. It's not good for your mental health, and it's not good for you. The other thing I really was challenged to do was to adapt. You know, as women, we fulfill so many diverse roles. We mothers, we wives, we taxi drivers, we business owners. We provide for our family. We as women are the foundational. We're the foundation of our families. And I think so many women don't pay enough attention to take care of themselves when raising their children in the summer seasons of their lives. And that's one thing. I have the privilege of mentoring so many young women who are now becoming mommies, and to encourage them, yes, when you have a child and when you are raising your children, as a mother, it is the highest calling that is beset upon us, and a privilege to do that. But I encourage women not to lose themselves in motherhood, to make time for themselves and make time to pour into themselves as they raise these children. Because really, if we are depleted, how can we give to a family who so desperately needs us? So I adapted. What did that mean for me? Well, part of what I do is corporate presentations, cooking classes. I do my AIM products. It's my supplements that I endorse. So I do presentations once a month for my members and my users. And then I have Lere's Barn, where I do my cooking classes. And you know what? Years ago, before the shift took place, I could do a brunch class. I could wrap that class up, clean up everything, prep for the next one, do an evening class, and I could go again the next morning. Well, when my hormones changed, guess what? I couldn't do it anymore. Now, when I do a class, I give myself 3 days to recover, because that is the reality. That is how my body has changed, and I do it without guilt and condemnation. The other thing I did was I changed up my exercise. You know, when I was younger, I used to run. I ran 5 miles a day. On a Saturday, we live in a rural area, and I would get on the road and ride. I'd run 10 Ks every Saturday morning, and I loved it. Just don't put me on a treadmill. Put me on the open road in nature, and I'd become invigorated and inspired, and it's just, I thrive. But what happens is when our progesterone levels drop off, sometimes our estrogen can be run twice as high as what it should. And along with that, we become more insulin sensitive, but also our cortisol levels are very, very high. And when you run, and when you do HIIT training and you do CrossFit, it secretes high levels of cortisol in the body. And I did not need any extra cortisol. So I had to adapt my exercise. So what did I do? Yes, I am a passionate tennis player. I've been playing since I was 5 years old. My granddad taught me on his farm in Rhodesia, which is now known as Zimbabwe. So I still play my tennis. I power walk. I do weights, and then I do reformer Pilates. And the reformer Pilates changed my life. I added to that a sauna, infrared sauna. It was a game changer for me. And that is also a subject for another day. There is so much information out there and so much research out there on the impact that heat therapy has on our mitochondria and how it helps give us energy in the long run and restore our cells. So yeah, so I'm just trying to think what other things. Yeah, I needed to adapt my diet. I needed to make sure that in the mornings I would have a good amount of protein and fiber and good fat in my breakfast, because we do become more insulin resistant. So I had to keep tabs on my pancreas, and I had to eat for my blood sugar. And you all know, for those of you who've heard me speak, maybe you haven't, you remember that song, "It's all about the bass, don't worry." It was such a silly song, but it was so catchy. For me, I've developed my own, and it's like, it's all about the blood sugar, do worry. And so I eat for my pancreas, because your pancreas is a little storehouse, a little hormone that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it never stops because of what we do to it. And so remember, as we go through this hormonal process, it's so important to take pressure off the pancreas, to eat so that our blood sugar levels remain stable, because when your blood sugar is out of kilter, the first thing that happens is your brain and central nervous system is affected. And so I needed my mood to be good. I didn't need to be sad and weepy because my blood sugar is all over the place. So yeah, so those are just a few things that I did. I went deeper in my relationship with the Lord, because let me tell you, if we don't have that as a foundation, in my opinion, it's you can't build on anything if that foundation is not there. So finding my confidence, in my relationship with Christ, because one thing that did happen to me is I woke up overnight, as I said, and my confidence was gone. And you're on your way to 50, you've lived your life, your children are starting to leave home, we've poured everything into our children, and here you are. And suddenly you feel, wow, am I expired goods? I'm being very honest with you. This is how I felt. I felt like, oh, you know what? My time has come and gone. I'm not needed anymore. There's so many other people talking about health and wellness. You know what? I think I should just shut it down. And my confidence took a knock. And I find that if our relationship is not firm in Christ, and we don't have that God confidence, not self-confidence, God confidence, we can't fully walk into the purposes and fulfill the purposes that the Lord has for us. So that was huge and instrumental in part of my healing. I did supplement. That's a story for another day. We can go deeper in that in another episode. But very strategically supplemented. Remember, supplements are there. They are supplemental when we need help. When we have any form of dis-ease in our body needs 6 to 7 times more nutrients to heal, to regenerate, and to be invigorated. And so yes, there are very, very definitive supplements that I use, whole food concentrated supplements that fit my whole food philosophy, that have been an absolute game changer for me. So I hope that this has helped you. I've probably missed a whole bunch of things, but I hope that just some of these things that I've shared has been a blessing to you. And there was something else that I wanted to share. Now, oh yeah, that's what I wanted to share. Another thing, and those of you know it's body, soul, and spirit. I want to encourage you, if you are a young mom watching this today, as I said previously, one of the highest callings as a mother is to raise your children, and it's a privilege. But I want to encourage you, make time to spend with your husbands. Take time as you raise those children to spend time together, to get to know each other. Make time to get a babysitter and invest in your relationship. Because let me tell you, the last thing that you want to happen is when that you pour your whole life into your children. The husband golfs, he's away, you playing tennis league, and now and again you come together around the children. The kids leave, they live their lives, you sit at home and here the two of you are, and you look at each other and you say, who the heck are you? And that's one thing I can say, is in this empty nest season of our lives, it's been such a tremendous privilege for my husband and I to get to be connected again. It's just such a special season for us. And yes, we miss the children, but it's just the most beautiful season for us to enjoy and savor our relationship, savor each other, and get to know each other on a deeper level.